Hey everyone, this is Ben, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of ISO. We help brands be visible in ChatGPT. We recently published an article in Search Engine Land, and I wanted to do a little bit of a presentation, explain a little bit the context and some of the interesting findings. This is really interesting, I think, for SEOs, but it's also interesting for brands to know how they can be visible in AI overview. So AI overview are this new feature or space on Google search results that appear when you ask certain kinds of questions, usually more informational questions, such as how can I cook a great chicken tikka, for instance. And instead of giving you links like Google used to do, Google is now introducing AI and it will give you the answer. So like a sort of block of text with different paragraph where you can actually see the real answer, the direct answer. It's of course based on web pages and there are links to them, but it's basically a summary of this. And it's called AI overview. So there's a big question in the SEO world and really in online marketing in general as to how you can be mentioned in those AI overview. Because now a lot of the consumers will go on Google, do a search, find the answer in the AI overview, and that's the end of the search journey. They may not go to the actual website. So it becomes super valuable to be in those AI overview. And of course, one of the ways you can get into it is to answer the questions people ask, right? Because then you're more likely to be picked up as a source. And to know that, you can use our app, for instance. But there's another aspect. So that's really more on the content and alignment of your content to questions. But there's also other ways you can increase your chance to be in AI overview. And one of these ways on the technical optimization side, it means like not just writing the right kind of content, but also writing it in the right way, with the right structure, with the right organization of your page, with the right things in the code, so that the LLM, those large language models, right, like these AI models, can actually see easily that you're answering the question. And one of those technical optimization is called schema markup. And our experiment was essentially and it's really Molly. I will give credit to Molly Nogami for really driving a lot of the research on this, and also like the interpretation of the results and their write up. So she really did a lot there, and I think I was mainly just there to ask her questions. But essentially, what we did is that we created three different websites based on same keyword difficulty. That means keyword difficulty is a concept from Google search, and the same keyword difficulty means that it should be as hard to appear in Google results, thinking even like the traditional Google results, the series of links, should be as hard for each. So there were different topics, but same keyword difficulty. We used a tool like Ahref to find out the keyword difficulty, and so those the topics were a bit technical, a bit specific, but not too specific. So one of the pages was about data pool versus data lake. So those are concepts in the world of data, of how you manage your databases and different kinds of databases with different trade-off on performance versus flexibility. So it's a pretty specific topic, but it's not extremely specific that no one is going to do any search. There's still some people in the data world, in the data engineering world, that will search for that. And then we looked at another topic, which was the cost of a marketing team. So how much does it cost to build your own marketing team in a house versus hiring an agency? And there was another topic that you can see in the article, which was same degree of difficulty, the common element in a promotional mix. So the last one was what are common elements in the promotional mix? So essentially typical elements in a marketing strategy. So there would be things like advertising, sales, PR, digital PR. So again, like a sort of specific but not too specific topic. And most importantly, the three topics specific. Molly actually did a previous experiment on the impact of this technical optimization we looked at that I will describe, and AI overview. And it was a great piece of research, and that's how I contacted her actually to suggest that maybe we could do like a follow up. It was a really great piece of research, but there were quite a bit of difference between the different websites that she looked at. And those were existing websites that she looked at. And we thought, okay, we can just build ourselves, build our own website just for this experiment so that we can control more finely, more precisely the keyword difficulty, the difficulty to rank for those topics. And so we basically built those three websites. That was my main contribution to the whole thing. Molly did build basically pretty much everything else. And so I built those website, and then we made sure there was nothing else that could impact whether they were going to be visible in AI overview, except one thing that I will describe in a second. And so we didn't have any backlinks to them. We didn't have any website talking about them because they were completely new. We didn't host them on our website, which is starting to have some kind of domain authority. They were just like, they had their own domain. We didn't put anything like sitemap or anything like this. They were just like straight HTML, super simple. And there were only one difference, right, between each, which was on schema markup. So schema markup, one of the ways to think about it is really like when you're on a hiking trail, it's like those little navigation sign on the trail, right? Like at some point you'll see a sign saying, hey, in 30 minutes you reach this point. Now you need to turn right to get there, etc., etc. Schema markup is sort of this for machines in general, and in particular for large language models. So they really help the large language models and also just Google in general, machines in general, I would say, to retrieve information. It's not visible to your readers, right? It's only in the code, and it's really like navigation signs. Like, or you can also think about it as labels. Like when you go to the supermarket, you're gonna have labels on, whether this is meat or meat, and how many calories you have, and the origin of the meat. So all these kind of labels that you have in the supermarket, like schema markup is basically this for website, for the content of the website. And so there were three implementation, right? There was one website without any schema. There was one website with schema, but it was a bad one. I'll say a little bit about how we did like a bad one. And then there was one with a good schema, fully implemented, really very detailed, etc. And that was actually a suggestion by our friend Olesia Korobka. Olesia basically suggested, hey, because we did an experiment before on the impact of schema on AI search, this time on ChatGPT, a little bit different from AI overview, but AI search, part of the world of AI search. And in this experiment, we showed that having a schema had an impact on 30% more visibility. 30% meant essentially 30% less hallucination. So 30% of the content correctly retrieved by ChatGPT. So a big impact. And there were lots of super interesting challenges. Dan Petrovic, SEO guru, replicated the experiment. They couldn't find the same results, which was super interesting. And I think maybe due to the fact that now the results are indexed by Google, and the ChatGPT uses SERP API to find results on Google. So it's very hard to now isolate just like that specific website without ChatGPT using some workarounds to find the info. But there were some super interesting challenges really by the community and other people that I haven't met yet, but that have been contributing super helpfully on LinkedIn mainly, where we publish all of those. And so one of the challenges that was super interesting by Olesia was that it's important to differentiate between good and bad implementation of a schema. It's not just whether you have a schema or not, it's whether it's how good the schema is. So we basically took that on board, and that's why we did the three website with one good schema and one not so good schema, and last one no schema at all, right? For like the baseline essentially. And then we submitted those websites to Search Console, Google Search Console, and the result that was pretty amazing is that the one with good schema was not only started to be visible in the Google results, it was actually number 3 very quickly. It was data lake versus data pool, and it started to appear, in the number 3. But also it appeared very quickly in the AI overview. And then the one with poor schema was appearing in the results, like in the links, but not in AI overview. So you type like the question, it would be there as one of the links, which was interesting in itself, right? Because we rank really quickly, the traditional search sense, but it was not there in the AI overview. And then the last one, which has no schema at all, interestingly was crawled. So we submitted it to the console. It was seen by Google. It was crawled, which means the content was read, but it was not indexed. And at this stage, it's still not indexed, but we assume this is like a subject and the sort of materials for follow-up of the study, but we think it's going to end up being indexed, and maybe even is going to get into not only the Google search results, but the AI overview, but it's just going to take more time. And interesting, very recently after we published the article, the second website, the one with poor schema, started to appear in AI overview. So essentially what happened is that we submitted the 3 websites. The one with good schema was very quickly in the links results and in the AI overview. The one with poor schema was in the links, but not in the AI overview for several weeks, and then it started to appear in the AI overview. And then the last one, which had no schema at all, was put in the backlog, so to speak, in the queue, and hasn't been really indexed yet. And sorry, the second one was after it's been in the results, a few weeks after it reached like the AI overview too. So this really sort of confirms the hypothesis that schema markup helps machines understand content. And the main impact it has is that it helps them understand content faster. And so if you have implemented those, it means you will be visible faster in the results. And that's for AI overview. But we started to also see, and I want to thank Anne Smarty for this. We started to see the first one, the one with good schema, appear in AI mode, which is like this sort of next iteration of AI search from Google, which is much more similar to ChatGPT. It's really just a chat and there's no links anymore. It's only like, and we know that ChatGPT also has a limit on the time to retrieve the information when it's doing like live search results and you interact with the AI. There's very strong indication that the website with good schema will basically help ChatGPT find information faster. So essentially, the conclusion to all of this is Schema Markup is a really powerful technical tool to be visible in AI. Both ChatGPT that we looked at first, and also AI Overview, and it seems also AI Mode. So really like ChatGPT and Google on all their AI products at this stage, the ones that are really operational. And it's not just about having schema, it's really about having a good schema. It's described in the article in detail, but in the poor one, we put much less information. And we also put inconsistencies. We put mistakes and inconsistencies, something like an LLM could do, for instance. That's why you should have like someone actually review your schema, even if you use an LLM to help you get started. I'll put the link in the comments, and we'd love to hear what you think about it.